Hello and welcome to another scene set in Death of the Dark Crusade Season 2. Today we set our scene district within one of the meeting areas that the La Sombra control within this domain, i.e. many. One that has been set up closer to a restaurant than a tavern, but they're largely all the same these days. There has been there's a large area that has just been rented out by Ulric. He has handsomely paid the owner of this bar / tavern for this space, and has rented it out for the purposes of meeting with a tiny little salubri of total insignificance, so that he can receive a report from her, and also in a secure location. He has made sure to keep swapping locations when on a mission like this, and he has plenty of money to throw around. And Annabel has been advised by her mentor to on how to improve relations with Ulric regarding when she issues her report of the mission to him. So you are guided into this. You're told where to meet. You receive a message via courier at a drop-off point. And are then led to, not led, but you know where to go. The message directs you to this area, and you find it, and you're expected. And the one human in this still in this establishment guides you to the large table where Ulric is sitting. He actually has a human. He has wine, not vitae. You can smell it. It smells of wine, and he seems to be sipping from it. And will show you that, and then will take his leave and leave the two of you alone, as Ulric just looks up at you as he drinks, stares at you.
Anna just approaches and walks up towards the table, and she will make a small nod of her head, and she'll sit down.
Good evening. I heard you wanted to speak with me.
Yes. I recently came back from the mission you sent us on, and I thought you would appreciate a report.
I would. That would be part of your assignment, to report back what you find to a superior. Just a hint of sarcasm.
Well, Anna just straightens and bravely continues on. We went to investigate one of the latest crime scenes, and we came across a few indications that we are dealing with two individuals that are coordinating their attacks, and that it isn't just random killing.
I figured as much. Please state the line of events in chronological order and as detailed as you can.
Whew. Here we go. Long live notes. Annabel nods, and she takes a deep breath. When we got to the location, we scouted around. The most noticeable things that we found were claw marks on one of the buildings opposite of the crime scene. the door of the house that the murder took place in was completely smashed in. So was one of the walls and the roof. There was a lot of blood, and inside we found an arrowhead. Once we climbed to the roof, we could see that every so few houses further down, there were landing marks where something came down. I assume it is from something hopping from roof to roof. We decided to follow the trail of the markings on the roof, and when we did, we came across a kind of glimmer that was glittering in the night, almost like fireflies floating around. We tried to follow it, and after following it for a few blocks, we encountered a woman, an archer. I don't know which clan she was from, but she had black hair and porcelain skin, very pale, and she wore light leather armor. She was really good with a bow. She was able to shoot at one of us from a far distance. I think, if I can remember correctly, she was shooting a longbow, so I imagine her to be very strong as well.
Longbows are historically, they have a longer. Obviously, they're a longbow, so that you can pull back more on it and build up more tensile strength than a short bow, so you can fire it further and faster. The problem is that it's literally very big and unwieldy, so it's harder to really get at. It's much easier to use like a compact bow, like a short bow. So yeah. Also, longbows, like short bows are more widely used and more common. Longbows are more sporadic. They're much more. They're used for more. I would argue they're used for more militant purposes. You're not going to find a random huntsman using a longbow because he doesn't need to.
Okay. We had a short standoff between, and she kind of makes a fake gesture with her hand, whatever the glittering being was, and the woman in the light leather armor. But after that, they managed to escape. It seemed as if she was holding on to the glittering mass, and they just took off, made a few jumps, and took off into the sky.
Took off into the sky. Do you mean jumped?
Annabel nods.
They flew.
What?
They flew. And a character.
Oh.
You saw them fly. Oh well, what you saw the shimmer. They jumped and then they didn't fall back down.
Fair enough. I thought he jumped a few times and then after like hop.
Now he just
fly.
did a standing takeoff.
Oh wow. Okay.
But you didn't actually get a good look at the shimmer. So you could tell that they fly. You could tell its shape actually because you could see into the mist and you could tell its general shape. Wings.
Yeah.
And I did a standing takeoff and flew off.
It just seemed to fly into the air.
How? What do you mean it flew? Gangrel can turn into birds, but You telling me it turned into a bird and took the other person with it, or?
Annabelle shakes her head. No, it appeared to have some sort of wings.
Interesting. If that would be pertinent information, I'm sure the sheriff would love to know. I will inform him of that. Did you find out anything else regarding this woman who has been an accomplice to this creature?
Annabelle shakes her head. Not me, but one of us, I think, was able to glean something from the arrowhead that was found at the crime scene, but he didn't seem to want to share this information with us.
I see you have all specs.
I would know why he would want the arrowhead.
You have all specs. You probably have an idea of what he was trying to do. I'll say because you have the discipline, you'd probably have. You couldn't be certain, but you're aware of what all specs can do because you have the discipline, and so yeah, he might have been trying to use Spirit's touch on it. In fact, he did ask that it be to be given to him for some reason, and then he just sat there with it. So yeah, you wouldn't know what he gleaned or if he gleaned anything at all.
Well, I think he said after he was done, interesting, I need to look at something, or at least he mumbled something in Greek and then took off outside, so I can reasonably assume that at least something made sense to him. Oh, see, whose character was it again? Or what was his name?
What, the guy who did the spirit touch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Eklios.
Eklios. All the names. I believe his name was Eklios.
Inquire as to what he discovered. It's possible the reason he did not tell you is because he simply did not glean anything. It does happen from time to time, sometimes, particularly for older objects.
Annabelle nods.
Your mentor would know more than I on the matter.
She looks very happy. Daddy-chan, my daddy-kun.
No. Does Odessa look like Asia too? Well, it's kind of in Asia Minor, but we're going to ignore that for the purposes of my sarcasm. All right, cool. Have a say. So, what role did you all play in this assignment?
Let me think.
Or perhaps I should ask, what was your role? I'm quite curious as to the notion that only one person is reporting back to me. Were you assigned to do this?
Annabelle shakes her head. No, but I hadn't heard from any of the other people that were assigned to this task, so it's better to just make sure that at least someone told you.
I appreciate that. That is quite literally the job, that part of the job that was assigned to you. So I would hope that at least one person would have had the common sense to report this back to me.
Happy Annabelle.
I do appreciate it, however. I'll certainly be inquiring much more heavily from this point forward, and I appreciate the role all of you have played within this investigation. If you wish to assist further, that is your prerogative. There are certain fringe benefits for those willing to put themselves on the line for the princedom. But of course, if you wish to step away at this point, you have accomplished your task and will be rewarded as such.
Annabelle just gives you a small nod. I'm happy to be of support to any who are going to continue this task. I just noticed that when it comes to fighting these two individuals, I'm not fit for that specific task. After just one encounter with this woman, I've seen more battle than I had cared to ever see in my life.
That is a healthy attitude. One that, unfortunately, is rarely if ever true, but it is one you should not forsake. Do you have any idea where these individuals went off to? I believe
South,
Grin
I
has been
think.
keeping you informed, and yeah, you definitely know. You probably know the neighborhood in which they're living.
Does this neighborhood have a specific name, or since the territories are quite large?
Yeah, it probably wouldn't. It's a slum.
Lol.
But you would be able to point to it on a map. And keep in mind, in the Dark Ages, a lot of a lot of small folk did not even have last names.
Would you
It'd be
perhaps have?
uncommon for certain areas within a city to just go unnamed,
No.
especially more common areas. It would just be this district, that district. Maybe a popular square would have a name. Maybe a popular roadway. But this is not an area where documentation is a priority among anyone.
If you have a map, I could point it out to you.
I think this would be useful, actually. I don't have a map with me right now, but we can meet up again and we'll go over the finer details.
Okay. For now, I knew they moved into southern directions, into the slums.
So it appears your initial predictions were accurate to some extent or another.
Yes, although we didn't anticipate them to actually, and she kind of looks apologetic, of significant intellect when it came to executing these murders.
Sorry, you underestimated?
Their intellect when it came to these murders. They first assumed that they were just random killings of someone who just went mad. But there seems to be more to it.
You would be aware, based on the information you had earlier, I believe it was noted in your preparation scene that there was intent to feed. A lot of the bodies were fairly dry on blood in place, which would have been the initial assumption. But what I believe was the initial assumption. This is just me reminding you so you don't have to make a bunch of silly intellect checks, because in game this would not have actually happened a great deal of time ago. You would remember this information. Were you able to discern the full motivation behind these attacks?
Annabelle shakes her head. No, not me. But I can't imagine that someone would go through all this lengths just for a simple feeding. There are many
There are
other
safer ways to
places.
feed.
Yes, indeed.
And more subtle.
Mm-hmm.
The individual for bow you outlined, however, is not recognized within this domain. I certainly don't recognize her, which would imply this is probably why she is. Because she is already an outlaw.
But then why draw attention to herself by these killings?
Have you considered the notion that that might be the intent of the table?
Annabelle seems to consider it as. That would make sense since the sparkling thing, I think it purposely showed itself in front of her group. It didn't care that we saw it or not. So you might be right that they want us to know who they are and what they're doing.
Have you considered why they might be trying to draw attention to themselves? Roll me perception and empathy as he asks you these questions. Using dice roll at 1. Oh, well, that's not. That's actually 3 successes.
Incoming. Let's see which is faster, my phone or my laptop. Oh, I think laptop is winning it. Mm-hmm. Come on. Okay, thanks. Mm-hmm. Dice roll a 1. Slash or 7. How the hell? How the hell do you have 9 dice for that? Jesus.
Because he's an ancillor.
Go back to
And
your
when Ulric was a PC, his primary stats were manipulation and subterfuge.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes.
I mean, you don't care about any of this shit at all. He knows the reason. It looks like he's testing whether you can figure it out for yourself. He's having fun.
Annabelle looks pensive. Maybe we still haven't looked at the significance of the targets and their locations. Maybe we can find something there of significance.
With that many successes, I'm going to say, as you say, that Ulric doesn't seem to appreciate your stonewalling.
What? She literally has no idea. Well, she couldn't know since she didn't know any of the emotions behind whatever Murray did.
This is why you're not from Clan Lasombra, you common whelp.
She looks at Ulric. Would you perhaps know anything that could shine a light on our investigation?
I'll be bringing the relevant information from this report to the sheriff and letting him make his ruling on the matter. With your ridiculous amount of successes, he just completely dodged your question.
He knows.
He didn't say anything. He didn't give his opinion at all.
Anna just meekly says, of course.
But you've done well, and I appreciate you giving this report to me, if not anyone else. And there will certainly be questions as to why that is. Again, you think he knows, and when he talks about asking questions as to why other people haven't reported to him, you get the impression that he feels like the people who have not reported to him are going behind his back, is perhaps the best way to put it. There is a sense of not arrogance, but dismissive irritation. Like, all these people think they can screw me over, sort of thing. Usually better summed up in thoughts, such as, yeah, you've seen this before. Especially among older Canaanites. Usually when they found out someone has done a bad, which they expected, or claim to have expected, you get the feeling this is going to be a problem. Not for you, for everyone else. Would you like something to drink?
Yes, please. Normal water.
They don't have carbonated water in Dark Ages. Normal water is just water.
That was the word what I meant. Just water.
Should you so wish. And you'll be brought water. Have you decided whether you'd like to participate in the excursion to remove these people permanently? Or is that something you'd like to leave to the rest of the court?
Annabelle folds her hands. She says, that depends on how soon it will be. Right now, I'm training with my mentor, or with Abraham, to further my healing skills, and where I would rather not hold a bow and arrow and point it at someone this soon again, I might be able to help the group in any other ways that others couldn't. She means healing.
It will be happening within the next few weeks. We want to act soon. We don't want to let these interlopers go to ground. We don't want to give them that time and space.
She nods. I can be called upon whenever a moment has been decided upon to take action.
You would desire to come with us?
You see her kind of clench her hands. Yes.
You are being given the option. I would not wish to force you. Oh.
Well, she just has this expression like, I need to be there, but at the same time, I've seen some shit.
That is very brave of you. especially one of your particular caste of your clan are not accustomed to fighting. I'm not sure your sire would approve of you diving into harm's way like this, but I must say I do appreciate the gesture.
She nods. I will have words with Abraham on how I can best support this mission. And for prayers, of course.
Perhaps it's best to leverage your role as a healer rather than an archer.
Yeah, Annabel seems to agree with you. Yes, striking someone once has been more than enough for me.
Perhaps then, if I might arrange for that to be clarified with whoever else might accompany us. I would not want you to be thrown into a role that you're not suited for. That would not serve you or anyone within the hunting party well.
Thank you, that will be much appreciated.
It is quite all right. You are taking leaps and bounds forwards from our first meeting.
Annabelle just straightens her back.
He looks amused.
I'm glad you think so.
Being able to regain one's footing after an error is an important skill. Would you perhaps object to the notion of myself walking you home?
No, it will be very much appreciated.
Thank you, milady. What was that? Oh,
That was Shiloh fanning herself. Like, oh my.
yeah, there was a lot of lost context there. He will then rise from his seat and will say, then I believe that there's nothing else to discuss.
Annabelle will get up as well. Indeed.
And Ulric will kind of open his arm for you to lock with.
And she just, well, kind of shyly takes his arm.
It is an unusual sight to see a commoner such as yourself being escorted by someone who is clearly in noble standing. But yes. As you walk back, I'm going to roll 1d2. Fortunate. You don't really have any real issues returning home. The only issue is that it's quite a walk, going from fairly deep in the city to into the western farmlands, which is a bit of a trek. It takes you about an hour or two, at least. Meanwhile, that's happening, Oracle say. So outside of criminal investigations and open warfare on the local bandits. What is it that catches your fancy?
Right now, I'm really busy with getting more acquainted with healing. I'm wanting to open up a healing house for people to come to whenever they need help. But I think I need to do some more studying for that to happen in the near future. And maybe one day gather enough courage to see the prince and ask if I can establish a domain.
A bold ambition.
Yeah, she looks a bit shyly, as in a girl who just confesses her biggest crush to someone. I know, but it's something that is very dear to my heart.
You have taken up your clan's profession as your own.
She smiles. Yes, I was basically raised with it.
Was this something that occurred to you, if I may be so rude as to say post-embrace, or is this something that happened in your mortal life? Or is that something you prefer not to give thought to anymore?
She seems to consider this. Abraham was more than just my sire to me. He raised me from childhood. He taught me everything. Healing, how to interact with people, values, morals. I was unfortunate enough to lose my parents, but I was also fortunate enough to meet Abraham.
He is a fair gentleman. How is life now that you have the freedom to move on your own? I understand it must be something of a culture shock to you.
Sometimes it's scary. Things that I wouldn't have considered all of a sudden are things that you need to consider. For example, she kind of gestures to where the two of us, or they, are walking, where normally I could just go around by myself and always know that Abraham would be close. Now I need to take care of my own safety. He would still be there, but he, of course, would want me to be smart enough to take care of my own safety.
One can only shepherd the flock for so long before they must learn for themselves.
She nods. Very poetic.
There is a curious look from Ulric. That's fascinating. I heard that just a few days ago.
She just looks at you. Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, I am no Toreador.
Well, We all sometimes long for pretty things.
Just quick OC note, where would Annabelle like to be dropped off?
Yeah, just drop her off at the chapel that belongs to her sire.
Okay. Walking through the countryside, Ulric still being lovely and pleasant and friendly.
Yeah.
It was before, which was very angry, aggressive, and lecturing. He's very much a very different person when you first met him. And he will just kindly walk you up the hill. Will you be all right here?
She nods. Thank you very much for escorting me back home. You didn't have to personally do it, but I appreciate it very much.
It is quite all right, Annabelle. And I appreciate you doing what was asked of you and coming to me. Will you be all right here? Or sorry, I think I already said that. I'm blanking. Yeah. Well, I'm repeating the conversation. He'll say, do give your sire my regards. And if you wish to speak with me on perhaps more positive matters sometime, you may find me in the Merchants District, or you can simply send a message to one of my many agents in the city for a meeting with you.
Annabelle nods.
I'd like to discuss the culture of the prodigals. If it would be appealing to you.
Annabelle looks intrigued.
Oh, see, you understand what he means when he says prodigals, right?
Nope.
He's talking about people on the road to humanity.
Okay.
That is their sobriquet. Sobriquet? Nickname, basically. Yeah, people on the road to humanity are often called prodigals.
Yeah, Annabelle kind of has to face as if someone just told her a secret. Or more precise, as if something that she already guessed was confirmed. That sounds lovely.
I intend for several of us to be there. It would make a nice change from many of the more violent among our society.
Annabelle nods. We all have our own interpretation of what it is to live just. And not all of those ways are things I would consider to be acceptable, but she kind of makes a hand gesture. It's obvious she doesn't want to give insult to anyone, but
Because it's quite all right. I find those on the road of sin to be quite barbaric indeed.
you can see Annabelle kind of purse her lips, as in It's unpolite to smile when something says something mean, even though you agree with it.
He sees you hold back and says, I see you've learned well since our last meeting.
Well, if I could blush, I would blush.
Do you have blusher health? What's your humanity level? 7?
Yeah, no, I have 6. I said if I could. No,
Oh yeah, no, you need to spend blood for that.
yeah. Well, she's not going to spend blood for that, but well,
You suck.
you wish. Well, she seems happy or content. I still have a very long way to go. But I'm glad that my progress has come to your notice.
Progress is something that's often underappreciated. Things are made reality. Contrary to what many would believe about older Canaanites, stagnation is very much the enemy. However, I have wasted more than enough of your time. If I may take my leave.
She will let go of your arm and she will give you a small nod of the head. Thank you.
Before you let go of his arm, he will pull you in slightly and whisper something into your ear. It's a location.
Annabelle will be hella flustered for a few seconds, but then she realizes Ulric is trying to whisper something in her ear, and she will pay attention.
It's a location. It's above the north side of the city, outside it, which is interesting because there's not really much out there. But then he'll let you let go and will simply say, don't forget to tell everyone else. Oh, sorry, he wouldn't say don't tell everyone else. He's whispering to you, so keep your sire well informed. And he gives you a sly smile as he seems to take in how flustered you are, and this amuses him greatly.
Sadist. Annabelle will just kind of blink her eyes.
He's definitely playing games of the neonate here.
Poor Annabelle. And she will kind of, where she usually just nods her head, she actually makes a bow down just to kind of cover up. She
curtsies?
Yeah, to cover up the fact that she is flustered. Well, she is flustered as hell, so she just makes a curtsy.
That seems to emphasize your flusteredness. Right, change in behavior. Ulric notes this and bows to you.
Would I address him as Lord or Baron?
Stay safe, Lady Annabelle. And have a pleasant evening.
Thank you for your well wishes, and I return them in kind. Till we meet again.
Till we meet again. And he will walk back through the farmlands, having just played the field.
Oh, God.
God. I will end our scene
with an Annabelle who is speed walking into the chapel, go like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god!" Man, farm puns.